Today we're going to be showing you how to take some PVC, some rubber tubing, and a toilet brush to make an arrow launcher that also doubles as a survival kit. Full of first aid, water purification, and fire starting materials, this one tool could be everything you need to stay alive in the wilderness. To start out, there's a whole bunch of PVC pieces we need, as well as this toilet brush and some rubber tubing. We're just gonna start building and showing you the pieces that we're using along the way. The basic idea is that we'll take these PVC pipes, fittings, the toilet brush, and the rubber tubing, fit them all together and turn them into sort of a slingshot for arrows. The empty pieces of pipe will be used as storage containers for other survival pieces. We're gonna start with a piece of this 1-inch PVC. The idea is that we'll have a fork coming up on the top and then a couple other pieces that reach back with a bridge in between them as a guard and sort of a rest that goes on your forearm, so as you pull back on the arrow, you're not just twisting your wrist. Start with the handle. All right, on the bottom of the handle, we're gonna take this 1-inch male adapter. This is for switching from slip pieces to threaded pieces. We're just gonna pop that right on the bottom and some of our PVC cement to attach it. We'll be able to put a cap onto here, just threading that on. For now, we'll leave that off. Moving on to the next piece. All right, we've got a T. We're just gonna put this right on the top of our handle. Now we've got this sort of weird piece. It's a 3/4 by 3/4 by 1/2 inch piece. 3/4 inch pipes fit into these two, sliding, and then there's a 1/2 inch threaded portion right here. What's interesting is that if this piece of pipe didn't have markings and ridges on the side, it would fit pretty much perfectly into this T. So what we're actually gonna do is we're gonna shave these down so we can just glue this piece directly into our T. Look at that. Filed it down. Filing took about 15 seconds. And now this just fits in beautifully. Little bit of resistance, but not too much. What we need to do is make sure that both of the smaller ends of these pipes are facing the same direction, because we're gonna have our fork come up here, and then this is where our support is gonna run out, and that'll go along our arm. Now, I don't think we want them perfectly straight up and down. We are going to want just a little bit of a tilt. So of course we're gonna take these out, we'll add glue, and then when we twist them into place, I'll make sure that we've got just a little bit of slant. Beautiful. We now want to attach 2 of these 3/4 inch male adapters onto the top of our fork. However, these don't just fit right on, so what we actually need is a piece of 3/4 inch PVC as a joiner in between. Now, not only do we have 2 more spots with caps that screw on and off, but below the caps, we've got a pretty good spot where we can attach things onto the side. And this is where the cord is gonna go, the elastic rubber cord that we use to draw back and fire our arrow. We've now got 2 of these 1/2 inch male adapters. We're gonna thread those in onto both sides here. And this is where our pipes can extend from. We'll want our support to reach almost to the elbow. But we're not just gonna have the pipe go straight there. We're gonna have to add a T piece and then ends onto the extensions as well. So we'll go a little bit shorter than the full length we want it to go. Cut off a couple pieces that long. This is about 9 inches long. Kind of depends on the size of your arms. Before we cement this in, let's build the rest of the support that's gonna go onto it, just so we make sure we've got all the right sizing and everything. Have a T, another T, and these will both angle up, because in between them, we're gonna have this 45-degree angle piece. That's the basic shape of the support. So we'll hold it on our arm. That 45-degree angle piece will do a great job of just letting us have a resting spot. We just connect that all with some more 1/2 inch pipe. Those will connect to our T pieces. I think at this point we can now glue these into place and then glue this on. The back, we're gonna add pretty much the same thing we've put on the other 3. We're gonna use some more of these male adapters, fit them on, and then they'll have caps that go on top of them. Once again, we just need some short pieces of our 1/2 inch pipe to act as a connector in between. At this point, our frame is built, and so it's time to move on to adding the other components. We're going to be using this toilet brush to make something of a DIY whisker biscuit. that's something that just has little hairs or fibers all pointing to one spot in the middle. An arrow can rest in it and the fletchings can pass right through because it's not too dense of bristles. All right, we've got more brush than we need here. Start by just trimming it off. Actually try and bend this a little bit more closed. So we don't need anything higher than right about here. In fact, the arrow will rest in the little bend part and it doesn't really need to go much above that. Try and trim it just a little above there. And we are still losing bristles quite a lot, and that's because the bristles are held in by wires twisted together. So to stop those from falling out, we're gonna try and twist the wires together more, then we're gonna get some epoxy and just cover up on top of the wires just to keep those all in place. What I'm using is some quick-set JB Weld. There's lots of other options that would work just as well. While the epoxy is curing, we're just gonna do a little bit of decoration, and that in this case means spray paint. We're just gonna turn this whole thing black and maybe paint the caps a different color. Okay, let's see what we can do about attaching our bristles right here in the middle. What we're gonna be using for that is just some wire. We're gonna wrap it around the top of our bristles, and then we're gonna wrap it around the bottom of this threaded portion. Just try and hold it still. You might also wrap a little bit more wire around the very bottom of it, and then around this T-shaped piece, just to hold it still so it's not moving back and forth. Next step is to attach the launching mechanism itself, which is going to be made out of this rubber tubing. We're going to have it attach on the top of both sides of the fork, reach to the back, and then we'll actually have it in two separate pieces. Connecting the two will be a piece of paracord, which should be thin enough for the nock of the arrow to fit. Both our rubber cords are almost reaching to the bridge, maybe 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch short. Now we need to join these together with a piece of paracord. We'll use a piece maybe 5 inches long. It's not extremely important that you have it exactly the right length because any extra will just stay inside the surgical tubing. Before we cut off our length of surgical tubing, we're gonna tie a knot in 2 different spots. We want this to be a very tight knot. Pull it as tight as we can get. One knot right there, and a second knot maybe 3 or 4 inches away from the first one. Now we need to fit the knots inside the surgical tubing, about 1/2 inch down. It's gonna take some squeezing and stretching. To make sure our little pieces of knotted paracord stay in place, we'll tighten them on with 2 more small zip ties. At this point, the main body build is complete, and if we want, we can start using it right now. In fact, let's give it a couple test shots. Ha! Look at that! I'm usually a terrible shot. That was only my second try. First shot, second shot. Man, now I don't want to do any more because I'm sure they won't be as good. There are other modifications that we can make. For example, if you find it hard to grip onto the arrow, we can take a little bit of duct tape and we can make a pull tab. Some people might find that easier to hold onto than the nock itself. Not only can we use this for shooting arrows and hunting, but since it's all hollow, we've got lots of closed-capped, waterproof storage containers, and we can fit a surprising amount inside of this thing. Let's take some windproof matches. I'm going to be using duct tape to make smaller bags because lots of things come in plastic pouches, or we can make plastic pouches out of Ziploc bags, and we just want them to be a little more travel sized. There's some windproof matches. Pretty good burn time, immune to the wind. Great thing to have several of. These are iodine tablets that are used for decontaminating water. You add a couple of these tablets to 1 liter of water, and then you wait about 5 minutes, and it will actually kill pretty much anything in there that you don't want. And you can fit quite a few of these into a very small space. Just to make it a little bit easier to draw these back out, I'm going to add a little wire handle. This can then drop down in, but it's easy to pull right back out. Got some antibiotic ointment and some bandages. If you don't like the idea of using tape to hold your containers together, you can also try the hot wire method that we've shown you previously to sort of melt the bags into a custom shape. I do like, in this situation, the idea of using tape. It is a little bit stronger, and in an emergency, you can probably use the tape for something else. Here's a little spherical compass. This should actually fit into our lid. It's small enough. You can just pop that on. We've got windproof matches, we've got bandages, we've got antibiotic ointment, we've got a compass. Oh, we got the emergency water tablets. That'll help keep us from getting infections, and cuts and scrapes everywhere won't be exposed. We'll be able to start fires, we'll be able to clean water. Sometimes we're gonna wanna hunt with the bow, and sometimes we're gonna want something else. Let's give ourselves the opportunity to get fish. These are nice. They really don't take up a lot of space, so you can fit them down even to small little crevices. Let's give ourselves a little bit of extra fishing line, some fish hooks. You can fit a ton of fishing line around a small dowel like this. Here we've got a saw. It's just a bunch of wires with even thinner wires wrapped around them. So you wrap this around a log and just pull it back and forth. You start cutting through wood. You're just going to wrap this around the top of the fork. These 2 bits of webbing are the handles that you hold on to. We're just going to tie those. There we go. Now we've got our saw attached. Nice and out of the way. 2 more things we're going to add: some paracord that we're just going to wrap around the handle, and some duct tape that we're just going to wrap around one of the side supports. Our survival bow has now been filled to the brim with all sorts of stuff to keep us alive. It's got paracord, it's got duct tape, it's got water purification tablets. We have a saw to cut wood, we've got matches to light wood on fire. We can hunt, we can fish with the hooks and the reel that we've got in there. We've got a compass, we've got some basic first aid. This thing has got a lot of good stuff packed into it. And maybe most importantly, it's really fun to shoot. My aim is terrible, but my consistency, that was amazing. I almost Robin Hooded that. We want to offer a special thank you shout out to Daniel Mead for sharing the design of your survival slingbow with us. Thanks for watching today, guys. Don't forget that box up at the top will take you directly to our last video, because the fun doesn't have to end now. The box at the bottom will show you what YouTube thinks you should be watching next, and this bomb in the middle will subscribe you to the channel, and that way you never miss out on the fun. Don't forget to ring that bell, and we will see you in the next one. Talk to you then.